Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger from SacredSoulEmpowerment.com. Here to do your monthly angel card reading for July 2018. For this monthly reading, we're going to be using the Power Angel Tarot deck by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine, and your special message card this month, depending on your stone of choice, will be coming from the Archangel Divination deck by Doreen Virtue. We also are going to be showing one card from the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. So before we start this month's monthly reading, let's take a look at your stones of choice for that special message card. Your first stone of choice is an amethyst cluster. Now, I'm not going to give you a whole lot for each of these stones, so go on your intuition, but the amethyst cluster is going to relate to the crown chakra and opening yourself up to higher guidance and wisdom. Your second stone of choice is green fluorite. This is going to relate to the heart chakra, and it's going to be very healing, soothing, and rebalancing of that heart chakra energy where the emotions lie. And your last stone of choice for this month is going to be a citrine cluster. This is going to relate to the solar plexus chakra, your center of personal power, and coming into a sense of confidence. So again, your stones of choice for your special message card: the amethyst cluster, the fluorite, or the citrine cluster. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about the energy for the month of July. Now, this month is going to be very important, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening this month because we're entering eclipse season. And, you know, when we have eclipses, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, it really intensifies the energy, and it creates this faster moving energy to where we're really moving forward. Things are unfolding at a quicker rate. There's a lot of redirections and changes and transformations and death and rebirth that happens during eclipses. So we have 2 eclipses this month, and then in August we actually have a 3rd eclipse. So this is going to be a time period that a lot of things are being stirred up, so to speak, energetically. Now, numerologically speaking, the month of July is a 9 universal month. That's the lower vibration. It's actually 18 as a double digit, and we take the 1 and the 8 and we add them together and reduce that down to a 9. So the number 9 is about endings. It's the end of a cycle. It's the last of the single digits. So we're releasing, we're letting go, we're purging, we're transmuting situations, circumstances, relationships, energies, belief systems that we no longer need to hold on to. The number 9 is about unconditional love. It's about compassion. It's about being a humanitarian. It's artistic. It's creative. It's romantic. It's intuitive. And, you know, really there's a need with the number 9. So this month of July, there's a need to go with the flow, to just surrender to what's occurring and happening. And that's going to be the case with the eclipses. You know, the eclipses, again, kind of redirect our path, redirect circumstances and energies within ourselves, so that it's not anything that we're attempting to do. It's almost like the universe is taking charge in a way. And this is why we need to have an aspect of surrender and just to kind of be open and allow whatever it is that's occurring, because it's divinely guided and it's needed. Okay, so just remember that when changes start to occur this month and going into the month of August. All right, so the double digit, we talked about the single digit for this vibration being a 9. The double digit is 18, and you know, it's not a master number, it's not a karmic number, but we are going to look at the 18th Major Arcana in the Tarot deck. And the 18th Major Arcana in the Tarot is the Moon. And in this deck by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha, the Syrian Starseed Tarot, it's called Luna, which is another name for the moon. And we can look at the image here. We've got a full moon. She's, you know, and this to me, they're saying as I show you this, and this full moon, is that the full moon lunar eclipse we have a little bit later in the month is probably going to be pretty powerful. And you can see that by this ocean, and the ocean is starting to crest with this wave. Now, water signifies our feelings and emotions. It also signifies our subconscious patterns and belief systems. So there's something being churned up here. I mean, you can see the full moon and it's dark outside, and the ocean is starting to crest into this huge wave. And this is going to mean that our emotions, with the moon card here, and again for this month, and with the eclipses that we have, are going to rise to or heighten to a new intensity. So we're going to be going through some emotional things here in this month. And again, there's a need to surrender. Now, the moon is very healing. You know, there's a lot of healing on the emotional level that happens with the moon. So that we need to remember. A lot of times, old subconscious patterns, whether it be from this life or energies from previous lifetimes, needs to come up to the surface, just like this wave is coming up, you know, and then it'll crash onto the shore, you know, wherever that shore happens to be. So our emotions and our feelings and those subconscious patterns and karmic situations, they need to rise, they need to come up to the surface before there's healing that takes place. That's how healing takes place, is we have to recognize them, we have to see them, we have to feel them, experience them. So don't try to stuff your feelings or emotions. Don't try to hide them. Don't try to, you know, sedate them in any way. Just allow these things to rise up, even if it feels, you know, emotionally challenging as you're going through it, because this is where we're going to get the most healing, again, especially with these eclipse energies. So let's go ahead, before we look at the messages from our angels and guides from the Power Angel Tarot deck, we're going to talk about the astrological highlights of the month. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the astrology because it would make the video way too long, but I am going to talk about the highlights, or things that I feel are going to be important in some way, shape, or form. And the first thing is that on the 4th of July, you know, and interesting, here in the United States, we celebrate Independence Day, you know, on the 4th of July. But Chiron, the wounded healer, is going into retrograde motion at 2 degrees of Aries. Now, Chiron is very slow moving, so probably a week to maybe 2 weeks previous, we're going to feel this energy of Chiron slowing down, especially a week before. So, you know, definitely as we're moving into the 1st of July, we're going to start to feel this energy of Chiron, the wounded healer, the shaman, the mystic, the problem solver, slowing down and getting ready to turn retrograde. Now, this internalizes the energy. So whatever the wound is in this life, whatever the wound is in past life, wherever it's landing in your astrological chart, your personal birth, you know, blueprint, this is where that woundedness energy is going to come up. Now, it is in the sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's the sign of the individual. It's the sign of independence. It's the sign of the self. It's the sign of leadership, taking charge. So there's something here within our self, with Aries ruling the self, that feels wounded. Our sense of self-identity feels wounded here with Chiron as it's slowing down. And again, everyone's going to feel this somewhat, but if it connects to something in your personal astrological chart, it's really, you know, you're really going to feel it much more. So again, that happens on the 4th, and I want to say a week before, up to a week after, it's really going to intensify that Chiron energy. On the 9th, Mercury is in a challenging aspect or square aspect to Jupiter. Now, this isn't long-lasting, but I feel it's important because Mercury rules our mind, our thoughts, our ideas, our communications, and Jupiter is in a stationary position. It's getting ready to turn back to direct motion at 13 degrees of Scorpio, which happens the next day on the 10th. But because it's stationary, it really, again, intensifies the energy of Jupiter and Scorpio, which is all about our sense of power, our belief systems about our power, our belief systems about people in power, and also energies about transformation, death and rebirth, regeneration, transmuting energies, transmuting lower vibrational energies, secrets. And all of this is going to affect how we're thinking and how we're speaking on and around that day. So even previous to the 9th, like maybe the 8th, the 9th, and then the 10th, when Jupiter goes back to direct motion, we're really going to strongly be dealing with some things on a mental level. Now Mercury's in Leo, by the way, so Leo is about our creative self-expression and shining our light. And again, it's going to be that those thoughts and our ideas and our belief systems regarding our creative self and our powerful self, and again, owning that power. On the same day, on the 9th, Venus, the planet of love, relationships, finances, and money, it moves into the sign of Virgo. I was going to say Scorpio, but it moves into the sign of Virgo. And that's got a little bit of a difficult placement while Venus is in that sign for the next few weeks. Venus in Virgo becomes a little bit more self-critical, a little bit also maybe critical and perfectionistic, and maybe over-analyzing relationships as well as money, being a little bit nitpicky. And you know, as far as finances and money, it can actually have a good power of discernment and good organizing qualities, but it still has that critical kind of judgmental feeling to it, where we might be feeling like we don't have enough, or we can't make enough money, or you know, the money's not there. And again, this is also that a little bit of critical feeling with the relationships in our lives, not just romantic, but perhaps all kinds of relationships, especially our relationship to ourself and how worthy and deserving we feel, because Venus does rule our sense of self-worth. Okay, and then we talked about Jupiter going back to direct motion, and I want to mention one other thing on the 10th when this happens, is that now things can start to grow and expand again. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's the planet of blessings. While it's been retrograde in the sign of Scorpio for a while, we might have felt like our blessings on an outward level were not forthcoming, or that they weren't, you know, the things that we were working on, our goals, our career, our life path, maybe it wasn't expanding the way we wanted to. Now Jupiter retrograde, it internalizes the energy when a planet goes retrograde, so we were needing to find the blessings and our sense of power within ourselves. But now that Jupiter is going back to direct motion, we're going to start to see again those blessings start to appear in our outer world, not just our inner world where we needed to find them. Now there can be expansion and growth in circumstances and situations around us. So for those of you that have been waiting for some forward movement or growth with your life path, your destiny path, it could be with money and finances, or with a home and family matter, or a career matter, we're going to now start to see slowly, as it's going to, you know, again, it's going to take time to pick up some speed, but we're going to see that growth starting to occur over the next few weeks. And then on the 12th, we have the new moon solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. Now this new moon solar eclipse is opposing Pluto at 20 degrees of Capricorn. So it's a pretty close opposition there, with 20 degrees Cancer opposing 20 degrees Capricorn Pluto. Pluto's about transformation, death and rebirth. The sign of Cancer, where the solar eclipse is about home and family, emotions, feelings, nurturing, caring, caretaking, sensitivities, intuitions, which, you know, remember the moon card, Luna rules our intuitive nature, our psychic, you know, in some ways psychic perceptions, our intuitions. So there's going to be, you know, huge transformations occurring, huge death and rebirth happening, because Pluto again rules that death and rebirth and that transitional energy. It's going to be on the feeling level, on the emotional level. It could be some changes within the home and family, because again, that's what Cancer rules. So you may see some shakeups, some possible transition energy going on with home and family matters. Okay, now remember the eclipse, and if I haven't already mentioned, whenever we have an eclipse, it intensifies that energy, and it's longer lasting than a normal new moon cycle or full moon cycle. The energies of the eclipse last a lot longer, so in the weeks ahead, we're going to see a lot of this emotional transformation and regeneration and, you know, transmuting energies taking place. On the 22nd, the sun is moving into Leo. That happens every year around this time in July. The sun makes its monthly transition into the next sign. So now for the next 30 or so days from the 22nd, we're shining our light. The light of the sun is being shown through the Leo energy, which is creative self-expression, which is generosity, leadership ability, children, or being childlike, having fun. Again, it's creativity in all of its forms. And then on the 26th, we have Mercury going into its retrograde cycle again. And this happens at 23 degrees of Leo. Okay, so Mercury is spending an extra long time in the sign of Leo with that retrograde cycle. And it will be retrograde for about 3 weeks or so before turning back to direct motion in August. And Mercury in Leo, again, creative with our words, creative with our thoughts, creative with our teachings or sharing information or knowledge with other people. So this can be a time where we're coming up with a lot of creative ideas while Mercury is in Leo. And while it's retrograde in Leo, we're going to have time to redo those creative projects or come up with, or maybe revamping or tweaking those creative thoughts and ideas that we had previous to it going retrograde. Now, of course, Mercury retrograde, every Mercury retrograde, there's sometimes miscommunication, confusing thoughts, ideas, things of that nature that happen. It can affect electronics, computers, cell phones, because those are how we communicate with other people, with the world. And so there can always be some challenges with technology during a Mercury retrograde, as well as Mercury does rule usually short distance travel, not so much long distance travel, but we do often see, like if you're going to take a road trip or you're going to get on a flight, you know, a lot of times, again, there's some delays. There's often delays with Mercury retrograde with connecting flights or the route that you decided to take, you know, somehow you're redirected. So remember that Mercury is here so that, Mercury retrograde is here so that we can rethink things, redo things, make new decisions, tweak things, you know, things like that. So it's definitely giving us time to do all of that. And then on the 27th, which is the next day after Mercury goes retrograde, by the way, the full moon lunar eclipse happens at 4 degrees of Aquarius. Now, I think this is going to be an especially significant lunar eclipse. I mean, the solar eclipse is powerful too. But this lunar eclipse, first of all, Mercury goes retrograde the day before. And also that full moon lunar eclipse at 4 degrees of Aquarius is connecting with Mars retrograde, which went retrograde back towards the second half of June, which started slowing down things unfolding and moving forward a little bit. Again, so we had time to redo something. But Mars retrograde is at 4 degrees of Aquarius. So the exact same degree of the lunar eclipse is where Mars retrograde is. Also, that lunar eclipse is in a semi-sextile to Saturn at 3 degrees of Capricorn. Now, a semi-sextile can be challenging, and we are dealing with Saturn. Saturn can be about delays. It can be about learning something. You know, he's the great teacher. He's also the teacher of karmic lessons. He also rules limitations and restrictions. On the positive side, he rules structure and authority and manifestation. But, you know, because of the Mars retrograde factor, because of Mercury retrograde in there, and lastly, the lunar eclipse makes a challenging square aspect to Uranus and Taurus. And this is the big one. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus is where sudden and unexpected occurrences happen. Uranus is weird, strange, and unusual energies. In the sign of Taurus, it can bring things up regarding our values. It can bring things up regarding money and finances. It can bring things up regarding the work that we do or the focus that we have with certain things that we're working on. So I feel like, again, this particular lunar eclipse, we're really going to feel it probably, I'm going to say, about 4 and 5 days before the actual eclipse on the 27th. We're going to start feeling some of the challenges and the redirections and things taking place with that. So just be aware. The other couple of things I want to mention deals with the lunar nodes, the north node, the south node, and some of the planets that are connecting with the nodes throughout the month. Now, the south node is about our past, and it can include past lives. The north node is where we're needing to move towards, what we need to move towards, what we need to aspire towards, what we need to manifest or work on. On the 2nd and 3rd of July, Mercury is connecting with the north node. So something regarding thoughts, ideas, communications towards, accomplishing something new. Again, north node, what we're supposed to be working on. On the 19th of July, Mars retrograde is connecting with the south node. So there's something about the past. So I feel like we're needing to redo something. This could bring up a redo on a project or some career matter or financial matter. But Mars rules the masculine energy. So this, for especially women out there, can bring up something in the past regarding a relationship. Again, with that south node being about the past. So don't be surprised if somebody from your past pops in on and around the 19th of July. On the 28th of July, the sun connects with the north node. So this is shining its light on something. And this is, again, the day after that full moon lunar eclipse. So just be aware that there might be some light in the darkness, to be dramatic here, to be Leo dramatic. Not that it's darkness when the full moon lunar eclipse happens, but whatever challenges or redirections are happening, the sun the next day on the 28th is shining its light on, here is the blessing, or here is where you need to move forward on, or here is an opportunity. So just be aware that that is also coming. Now, we have to quickly go through the cards because this is interesting. Every card that I was choosing, and I normally choose 3, there was an extra card that was coming out. So there's actually a total of 6, and we really have to move fast here. The first one was the moon, which was interesting. The moon, Major Arcana number 18 with Archangel Haniel. It says, the opportunity to improve your plans, listen to your intuition for accurate guidance, face your fears, and grow stronger. Now, the moon is often about our fears, our anxieties, our doubts. But remember, it's just an illusion, okay? The moon is sometimes those fears that are just an illusion, and it's, again, moving through subconscious patterns and some old emotions that are happening. Now, the second card that came out with that goes with it is the Four of Raphael, which is like the Four of Cups. Again, another card that deals with the emotions. It says, seek out other possibilities. Look for the magic in life. Be aware of your own emotions. And so I feel like with the combination here of the moon and the Four of Raphael, this is really telling us to pay more special focus and attention on the emotions that we're feeling and going through. Again, don't try to sweep them under the rug. Don't try to squash them, so to speak. Feel them, allow them. Allow yourself to feel angry or frustrated or depressed or anxious. Not that that's fun necessarily, but again, there's things coming to the surface so that they can be healed on an emotional level. The first message again here on the moon card, the opportunity to improve your plans. I'm going to say the opportunity to improve how you're feeling or what you're going through or what you're moving through. And just like the Four of Cups or Four of Raphael says, seek out other possibilities. Seek out other possibilities, okay? Now, the second card, again, 2 cards came out. First, another Cups card, the Ace of Raphael, which actually has a very positive message. A positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insights. So this is a new beginning to the way we're feeling, okay? A new beginning to an emotion. And it's very positive, but I feel like it's going to be, again, maybe hidden a little bit, that positivity of this new way of feeling. as we're moving through the eclipses. But know that, again, there's something positive there. Now, the card that came out with that was the Nine of Michael, which is like the Nine of Swords. And it says, your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome that you desire. Release feelings of regret, guilt, or worry to your angels. So again, this is kind of a combination of emotions and the mind, okay? And whatever it is that we're thinking or believing, feeling, that again is this emotional churning of the energies, know that there's this new beginning here, a new beginning with the Ace of Raphael. And I feel like you need to call on Archangel Raphael for healing throughout the month of July with whatever's happening and going on. Now, some of you may be feeling emotional and not really even know why. Again, this is a result of the Chiron moving retrograde and past stuff, the subconscious, energies, and even things maybe from past life that is being healed. Now, the third set of cards, the King of Gabriel, which is like the King of Fire in the traditional tarot, normally a very positive, confident, courageous, leadership-oriented card. And at the top it says generous, inspirational, dramatic, and driven. And on the bottom, keep your eyes on the big picture, leave the details to others, experience that leads to success, and genuine concern for others. The biggest thing I got with this was that, again, with all of the changes and redirectional energies and all the emotional energies that are happening, that first phrase of keep your eyes on the big picture, keep your eyes on where you're going, what you want to accomplish, what you want to manifest, who you want to be, how you want to express yourself creatively out into the world, because that's what the King of Gabriel is all about. And the second card, Major Arcana number 9. In this deck, it's called Epiphany. In the traditional tarot, it's called the Hermit. In this deck, Archangel Raziel rules this card. And it says, joy through spiritual growth, be a light to others, and answers that come through meditation. And I feel like that word epiphany is very strong here. It's like all these emotions that we're going through in this month, and with the solar eclipses, and with the numerology vibration being that number 9, or the 18th major arcana of the moon, we're going to be having some epiphanies. We're going to be having some realizations about ourselves and about our lives and about our direction and about what we really want. And we really need to pay attention to that. Okay, and I know I'm moving fast, but we have only about 3 minutes left before the video runs out of time. So we're going to now look at your special message card depending on your stone of choice. So for those of you that chose the amethyst cluster, and I'm going to try not to look at the camera because I don't want to see what's on the bottom of the card, but this one's popping up to me for amethyst people. Patience. Yes, Mars retrograde right now, so patience with Archangel Jophiel. Your dreams are blooming more rapidly than you realize. Still, they need nurturing and patience. Now, we are in a time where things are growing. Jupiter's now direct, things are expanding, but we're still in the summertime energies. When we get to the fall, that's when we get to the harvest, okay? After these eclipses, which will end by the middle of August, and then we move into September, that's when we're going to start to see manifestation and things starting to be realized. So for the time being, for the summertime here, for the month of July, have a little bit of patience, especially while Mars is going retrograde. When it turns direct, we're going to start to see forward movement again. And again, things will be realized a lot better at that time. So for those of you that chose the green fluorite, this one's calling my attention here. Green fluorite people. Hello from heaven, Archangel Azrael. Your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. So I feel like some of you, again, the first part of the month, we're dealing with the sun in Cancer before it moves into Leo. That's about home and family. A lot of you will be reminiscent of family members maybe that are no longer with you, as well as pets maybe that are no longer with you. Be aware that they are with you. They're trying to communicate with you, maybe through your dreams, maybe through a smell or a memory, something of that nature. The other thing that comes to mind is that first solar eclipse that we have, that's at 20 degrees Cancer, and it's opposing Pluto, which can rule death and rebirth, transformation. Now that's metaphoric, but it can also mean that there's some transitioning going on with certain souls from the planet, especially just prior to the solar eclipse, because we'll be in the dark of the moon phase before that solar eclipse. That's the time of releasing, endings, letting go. So I also feel like some of you may be experiencing some family members, friends, loved ones that maybe are getting ready to do their transition. And then for those of you that chose the citrine, let's ask for citrine. This one here is sticking up. Career transition with Archangel Chamuel. Your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. Now this can also be life path, destiny path. They're also saying it can also be a financial change. So there's some sort of transition energy going on here with earthly matters. Again, career, life path. They're even saying home and where you live, as well as money and financial situations. So know that there's transition that's happening. Now Archangel Chamuel helps us with our life purpose. So call upon him this month to assist you with moving forward on your purpose, or being aware of what your purpose is, or getting more clarity on what that's all about. So I hope you've all liked this monthly angel card reading. Thank you so much for all of your love, your support. I send you all much love and light and many, many angel blessings.